My name is Angie and I'm a teen associate at the Medina Library, and today I would like to share with you one of my favorite ways to make a painting even if you think you can't paint. So this is called charcoal transfer painting. This is an example of a painting that I made using this technique. You can see that mine is very simple and not very detailed. It's got kind of a cartoonish quality, or like a comic book style. But I started with a photograph, a black and white photograph of a celebrity, Bill Murray, that I wanted to paint. You can really paint anything that you'd like using this technique. If you have a pet that you would like to paint a picture of, or a family member, or a self-portrait, really there's no limit to what you can paint using this technique. I do suggest that for your first painting that you start off with something very simple. A head and shoulders portrait is usually good, and something with not a lot of detail in the background, not a lot of detail in the picture. You want kind of like a high contrast image to start out with. So anyway, you would pick a picture of something that you'd like to paint, and you need to make a black and white photocopy. So I've got Napoleon Dynamite here. He's one of my favorites. Ideally you want it to be pretty contrasty, like I said. So you want, very basic shapes and basic lines to start with. So you'll need your photocopy. You'll need either a canvas, or you can really transfer onto anything. You can transfer onto wood. This particular graphite transfer paper says that it can transfer onto paper, wood, metal, glass, fabric, and canvas. So really the whole thing is just that you're transferring, using the graphite paper, you're transferring your outline onto whatever medium you're painting onto. So I'm using just a basic white canvas, but you can use, like I said, paper, wood, whatever you like. So you need your picture, you need your surface that you're painting on, you need your transfer paper. It's basically just like little thin pieces of graphite coated paper. They look like that. This is graphite transfer paper. You can also use charcoal, like if you have sticks of charcoal, if you're an artist and you paint or you draw with charcoal, you can use that and just basically coat the whole back of your image, the whole back of your paper with charcoal. That's how I learned, and it works very well, but it is also very messy. So it's easier, I think, to just use the transfer paper. And then you will need a nice pencil that has a nice sharp tip. And you'll need paint, obviously. And your paint brushes. And then I use painter's tape, but you basically just need some kind of tape that you're going to use to hold your paper down onto your canvas. So to get started, we are going to do what I just said, which is to get our image onto our canvas. So you want to take your transfer paper and you want to make sure that the graphite side, the darker side, is down against your canvas. So it's just laying down on there so that the darker side is touching the canvas. Then you're going to take your image and you're going to lay it on top of that. And this is where we use our tape, because we don't want our image to move while we're doing our transfer. So I'm kind of feeling right now, my graphite paper is bigger than my canvas. I'm feeling where I want the image to be on the canvas, kind of situating that a little bit. And it doesn't really matter if you get any marks or tape on your original copy. Mine's actually a little bit wrinkly, but that's okay, because you're just using it to line up your transfer. Okay, so I put some tape on the top. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Just make sure he's taped down so he doesn't move around. This type of art is one of my favorites because it is like instant gratification. You do not really have to spend a lot of time on it. You don't have to have a lot of skill as a painter. My background is photography. I was never good at painting, but I love painting. So this was just, as soon as I learned how to do this, I was in love. And I actually have made quite a few of these little Christmassy themed. I have another one with Clark Griswold. I just think it's so much fun. So, okay, so I have my Napoleon is taped down onto the canvas with that graphite paper in between. Okay, so I don't know if you can really see, but I'll try to show you what I'm doing here. The next step is going to be basically outlining with your pencil all of the main lines and shapes that are on the picture. And when it comes to things like the dark shadows of like his eyes and under his eyebrow or under his chin, it's kind of nice if you can actually do a little bit of that as well, because it will just give it a little bit more of a, you know, a typical portrait. I don't get too carried away with the detail though. I think keeping it kind of fun and cartoonish is my style. I know that some people use this and they want to do every teeny tiny little detail. If you wanted to, you could do every little dot on his tie and then later you could come in and paint them. I don't get that detailed with mine just because I like mine to be a little bit less realistic and a little bit more like a comic book style. So I'm going to go ahead and start outlining Napoleon here. I'm actually going to turn it. I feel like it's easier when he's right side up for me. But I'm just basically using my pencil to trace all of the shapes. Like I'm doing his face and his chin. And definitely his glasses. And I'm basically just going to go through and keep tracing around. And I am going to kind of show you, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to hold it a little bit sideways. Sometimes you can see where the pencil line is, but just tracing around all of his nose, his mouth, and I'm going to go ahead and, so you don't have to wait for me to trace this, it's going to probably take about, I don't know, less than 5 minutes to do, but I will trace this and then I will be back to show you the next step. Okay, so what I'm doing before I take my paper off is I'm just kind of holding it a little bit to the side so I can see where my pencil marks are, and it just helps me double check that I didn't miss any of the major lines that I wanted to outline. And actually I think I missed part of his tie, but I have outlined Napoleon with my pencil. Now what we're going to do next is untape, remove our tape and our graphite paper, take it off of our canvas, and you will see that it might be a little light, but there is now an outline of Napoleon on my canvas. And you can see it's pretty basic. And again, if you really want more detail, you could start with a more complicated picture and you could do every teeny tiny little detail. Just remember, anything that you transfer is kind of going to be the detail that you'll be painting later. So the next step is to basically treat it kind of like a little paint by numbers. I mean, it's already laid out. It's like the outline of what you wanted, and then you just have fun and you paint. Another thing you could do if you don't want to paint is you could transfer onto some really nice paper, and then you could use a Sharpie and you could just outline it, or you could, use colored pencils or whatever you prefer. So I am going to go ahead and paint this, and then I will come back and show you the rest of it. Okay, so I spared you waiting the time it took me to paint this, which actually was only about 10 minutes or so, because like I said, I do very, very basic paintings. And this was my Bill Murray, very cartoony. I tend to do like the face just in an outline and then a little bit of color, and then I like a wild, crazy background. So I did the same treatment with Napoleon, and I've got my bright colors for his hair and his tie. I did paint his shirt with just like a slightly off-white color, and then I did my wacky wild color background. And anyway, so this is just how I did it, but there are some other examples of what other people have done with transfer, and I can actually share those with you so you can kind of see how different people will use that technique for different kinds of results. So just have fun with it. This process is meant to be a way to skip over a lot of the detailed technique things. If you're not very good at drawing or getting a likeness of like your best friend or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or somebody that you want to paint, you can just take a black and white picture and do the outlines, and then get straight to the fun part, which is just putting your own spin on it and painting it. I hope you guys enjoyed this process. I hope that you will play around with this and see what other kinds of things you can do with charcoal transfer. I will also share some links with you at the end of this video with a really cool database that the library subscribes to. It's called Creative Bug. All you need is your library card number, and you can make an account with Creative Bug. And then there are other videos. There's all kinds of videos for any kind of creation projects that you can think of, but one of the cool things that I found on there is some great videos on other forms of photo image transfer. So there's some really fun ones that all you need is some packing tape and a bowl of water. There's just a lot of things that you can do with image transfer to kind of get more immediate results with your art and not have to do all the painting and drawing. So be sure to check out some of our other videos, and if you like them, then hit that subscribe button and you can see more. Also, if you do end up creating something fun with your charcoal transfer paper, then please share that with us somehow. If you'd like to tag us on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, or just bring it into the library and share with us what you have created. I would love to see what kinds of art you have decided to create with charcoal transfer painting. Thank you.